I blocked the one person trying to save my daughter's life. When I finally understood why, I just prayed it wasn't too late. About a month before everything fell apart, a stranger messaged me out of nowhere. No introduction, no context. Just, "Your wife is dangerous. Your daughter is not safe." I stared at the message for a long time. My daughter had been sick for 8 months. She had been diagnosed with a rare progressive blood disorder. My wife had been by her side through every appointment, every infusion. Every night she cried from exhaustion and pain. And some stranger was sitting behind a screen calling her dangerous. "My daughter is dying. My wife has given up everything to take care of her. You don't know anything about our family. Don't contact me again." He started typing a response. I blocked him before it came through. Went back to the hospital. Didn't think about it again. 8 months and our regular doctor went on extended leave. A new doctor took over the case. Dr. Reyes was younger. Fresh eyes. She had not been looking at my daughter's file for the better part of a year. She reviewed everything quietly for a long time at our first appointment. "Can I ask, has she had any improvement at all since the initial diagnosis?" "None. She keeps getting worse." Dr. Reyes looked back at the file. "The progression pattern here is unusual. With this disorder, I would expect to see certain markers, behaving in a specific way over time. But what I'm seeing doesn't match that pattern. I don't want to alarm you, but I want to run some additional panels. There are things in her blood work that I can't reconcile with this diagnosis." She said it calmly, clinically, but something in her eyes told me she had already formed a suspicion. She wasn't ready to say out loud yet. The results came back 3 days later. Dr. Reyes called me directly. "Can you come in alone without your wife?" I sat across from her in a small office, and she turned her screen toward me. "Your daughter does not have a blood disorder. What she has is methotrexate and arsenic poisoning, both present at levels that have been building for months. The symptoms they cause closely mimic the disorder she was diagnosed with. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." The room went very quiet. She leaned forward. "Does your wife have a medical background?" 5 years in pediatric nursing. My own voice sounded far away. Dr. Reyes nodded slowly. "I'm going to need you to bring in everything your daughter eats and drinks. And I need you to not tell your wife we had this conversation." I drove home in a way I cannot fully describe. And that is when the message came back to me. "Your wife is dangerous. Your daughter is not safe." I pulled over, sat on the side of the road. Then I picked up my phone, went to the blocked list, and found his name. I unblocked him. His original message was still there, and below it, the response I had never allowed to come through. "My son Tommy died 7 months ago. Same symptoms as your daughter. I found out too late that he was being poisoned. I am begging you, please listen to me." I read it 3 times. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hit call. He answered on the first ring, like he had been waiting. His name was Roy. I could hear it in his voice immediately. Not anger, not told you so. Just the exhaustion of someone who had been carrying something unbearable, completely alone for too long. "I'm sorry, I should have listened to you." "I know why you didn't. I would have done the exact same thing." He told me about Tommy, 9 years old. Same slow decline, same baffling symptoms. His wife had been a pediatric nurse. She knew exactly what to give and how much. By the time Roy understood what was happening, Tommy was already gone. "Your wife." She worked in pediatrics, 5 years. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. I brought samples of everything my daughter ate too. Dr. Reyes. She found the traces in the cereal within 48 hours. Then I drove home, parked 2 streets away, set up a small camera in the kitchen linked to my phone. I called Roy and told him what I was doing. He said, "I'll be nearby." The next morning, I watched the feed from my car. My wife moved around the kitchen like any other morning, made coffee, hummed something. Then she reached into the back of the cabinet and pulled out a prescription bottle hidden inside a bag of rice, opened it carefully, crushed 2 white pills with a spoon, sprinkled the powder into my daughter's bowl. "Mixed it in with the milk. Breakfast is ready, sweetheart." I was already running. I came through the front door. Just as my daughter lifted the first spoonful to her mouth, I knocked the bowl from her hands. It shattered across the floor. My wife looked at me, and I watched the exact moment she understood that I knew. She opened her mouth. I held up my phone. The video was still playing. The police arrived 6 minutes later. Roy had called them the moment I stopped responding to his messages. He had been parked at the end of the street the entire morning. Just in case, my wife kept talking the whole time they were there. Same warm voice, same measured tone, telling them I had been under enormous stress, that she would never hurt her own daughter. One of the officers watched the video on my phone, then looked at the prescription bottle in the evidence bag, then at my wife. He walked her out to the car without saying a word to her. Dr. Reyes testified at trial. She walked the jury through the blood work, the progression pattern that didn't match. The moment she knew something was wrong, she was precise and completely calm. Roy testified after her. He wore a suit that was slightly too big, and his hands shook the entire time. He described Tommy's last weeks. His voice cracked twice. Several jurors were crying by the time he finished. The video was played for the courtroom. Nobody made a sound. Guilty on all counts. Attempted murder, child abuse, fraud, 23 years. She showed no reaction when the verdict was read. Just sat there staring straight ahead. The judge added a permanent no-contact order. She would never be allowed near my daughter again. 6 months later, my daughter's hair started growing back. Soft little curls at first, then more every week. She gained weight. Her color came back. She started laughing again, real laughing that took over her whole face. She still asked if food was safe before she ate it. Still had nights where she woke up scared. But she was getting there. We both were. Roy and I still talk, not often. But sometimes, he called on the anniversary of Tommy's death and I answered and we didn't say much. Just stayed on the line for a while. He had tried to save my daughter. I had blocked him and called him a liar and gone. Back to the hospital not knowing what was happening right in front of me. He had waited anyway. Parked 2 streets away on the worst morning of my life. Just in case. I think about that a lot. She was a pediatric nurse. She knew exactly which poison would mimic a rare blood disorder. She knew exactly how much to give to keep a child sick, without killing her too quickly. She had done it before, and she would have done it again if a stranger hadn't refused to give up on a father, who blocked him and called him a liar. Roy lost his son. He spent months being dismissed as a man who had lost his mind to grief. And he still showed up, parked 2 streets away just in case, because he knew what was coming, and he could not let it happen to one more child. Sometimes the person you push away, the hardest, is the one carrying the most important truth. And sometimes the only thing standing between your child and the worst possible outcome is a stranger who refused to stop trying.